Hello folks, I'm really excited to do this session about XLOOKUP. It's going to replace VLOOKUP and index match, and it's got so much more functionality than that. I can't wait to show you all, so stay tuned. I'm going to run through all the ins and outs, how XLOOKUP came about, why we need it, what it can do. It's an end-to-end exhaustive demo, so can't wait. First of all, a quick bit about me. My name is Wyn Hopkins. I'm an Excel MVP. I live in Perth, Western Australia. It's famous for its Cottesloe sunsets and the beautiful Rottnest Island where the cute little quokkas live. So that's enough about me. You can find me on LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter, and you can subscribe to our Access Analytic blog. But let's get into this. So what can XLOOKUP do and why do we need it? Okay, why did we need to replace VLOOKUPs and index matches and HLOOKUPs? Well, let's have a look at XLOOKUP and then we'll talk about its comparison against the other options. Here we go, equals XLOOKUP. I'm simply looking up the word grape, comma, in a column of items. There we go, there's my list, comma, and then I just highlight the column that I want to bring back the result from. So here we go, the amount to the right. And I press enter. That is it. 400. Okay. If I want to bring something back from the left, I click on the word grape, comma, highlight where that word is going to be found, comma, and highlight a column to the left. Enter. And it's bringing back a result from the left. It's so simple. It's just intuitive. You pick something, highlight where you're going to find it, highlight a corresponding result. Dead simple. Okay, XLOOKUP is coming to Office 365 in July 2020. By the end of it, everybody on Office 365 should have it. It will not be backwards compatible. Okay, it will never appear in Excel 2016 or Excel 2019 or any of those. XLOOKUP also replaces HLOOKUP. Okay, so if I want to go equals XLOOKUP, pick the word grape, highlight across this range, comma, highlight the results, and it's going to find grape and bring me back 400. I just press enter, and it's there. All good. And they've even put an if not found option. So let me just go in here, comma, if not found, not found. You can put whatever you want in that little box, in that little section there. Okay. So if I change this to the word grapes, it can't find grapes, and rather than that horrid NA, which you'd used to have to wrap in an if error, there's just an optional argument at the end for not found. Beautiful, beautiful. Right, that was a quick intro. Let's just talk about some of the issues that this addresses. So VLOOKUP, let me just delete these ones and show you. Equals VLOOKUP. You'd have to pick the word. You would then select the column you're looking for, and then only to the right, you'd have to highlight all the columns you wanted, comma. You'd then have to count how many columns it was until the result column. In this case, there's only 2, comma. And you'd have to remember to type this thing called false or 0 at the end, which is a bit unnatural. Enter. So it worked, but it was struggle to look to the left, and it was a bit clunky when people inserted columns. That 4 you'd put in there would no longer be the right number. So XLOOKUP addresses that. Index match, okay, so equals index. You highlight what you want to bring back. So you highlight the amount to the left column, so those results there, comma, then you do the lookup using the match function. So I match grape against the results in this column. Okay. Then you'd have to do a comma 0 to make sure you had the exact match. Then you'd have to close the bracket and close that bracket. It was a harder formula to remember than VLOOKUP. It was more flexible. You didn't have to do column counting, but a longer formula, and people just struggle to remember that, understandably. Okay, press enter, there's the amount to the left. So that's a couple of the issues with VLOOKUP and index match. Now I say VLOOKUP can't look left. Technically it could if you wrap a VLOOKUP with a choose. So VLOOKUP choose combo could look left. But look, that's harder than index match and really techie, so no one really used that. And finally, the default match of being approximate. So with the VLOOKUP, if you forgot to put the false on the end, you could get a weird result. For example, this is looking up the word grape. There it is, grape. But it's bringing me back the number 200, which is the value for banana. That's bizarre. And if I change this to cherry, it works. But if I change the word cherry to grapefruit, it gives me the wrong result. Now this is a risk with VLOOKUP. Okay, it always has been. If people forget to put the comma 0 or comma false on the end, you could get some unintended consequences. So use it. What happened with XLOOKUP was that having trained a lot of people to maybe move over to index match rather than VLOOKUP, it was a struggle. So I felt there must be a better way. There must be a simpler and safer version of VLOOKUP and index match. So in May 2016, I went on to Excel user voice and posted this item to say, please, Excel team, can you make us a simpler and safer version? And I suggested a name of getMatch with a lookup value, a row or column to look for, a row or column to return, and an optional no match. And enough people voted for this that it got on the Excel team's radar, and they implemented the much better named XLOOKUP. And they made it even better by adding all these optional parameters as well, which I'll talk about now. So thank you to everyone that voted for this. Thank you to the Excel team for developing XLOOKUP. It's going to change so many people's lives. It's going to be awesome for everybody. And I'm really pleased that this took off. So please go to Excel user voice, put your suggestions in, search for other people's suggestions, vote for them, because this is how we make Excel better. Right, let's delve into XLOOKUP now. So here's the syntax for XLOOKUP. We've already seen this. We look up a value, we pick a column or row, we pick a return column or row. That's it. Press enter, job done. Then you've got a couple of optional items you can select if you want to. You can add a result if not found. Then you can also say, okay, I don't want to do an exact match, that's the default. I want to do a nearest match, and I want to do the nearest less than or the nearest greater than. Okay. And then finally, what we can also do is say, rather than searching top to bottom, which is the standard as it's always been with VLOOKUPs and index match, you go down the list looking for the first match, you can actually search from the bottom up. So you've got an option to toggle that. And there's a couple of other little features in here that I'll mention as well, but those are the main ones. Okay. So let's look at this first one. We've already looked at result if not found. You can just put comma, not found, or missing result or something like that, which is really good. Saves you if wrapping your whole formula in one of those if error statements. Let's look at the approximate option. Okay, approximate match. So one of the optional things you can do is apply an approximate match, little switch. So let's see it in action. I've got a list of people and their scores, and I want to find the person who is closest to the score of 25. Okay, so equals XLOOKUP, score of 25, comma, highlight the scores because that's where you're looking, comma, bring back the names. Yeah, that's the same as of now. Then comma, if not found, so I could put in something if it's not found. Next comma is match mode, and that's what we're looking at. Exact match is the default, so you don't have to put anything if that's what you want. You don't have to do any of this. But if you want to find the next lowest or the next highest person, you can do this. -1 will give you the next lowest result. Close the bracket, press enter. So Lisa, there we go, Lisa has got 20, which is the next lowest result. Let me just write that again and do the next highest. So equals XLOOKUP, 25, in this list. See how quick this is? Absolutely awesome. From those names, comma, comma, match mode, rather than -1 for the lower, plus 1 for the higher. So Jackie has got the next highest result. And if I change this to 35, we'd have Jackie and Jeff. Okay, back to 25, we've got Lisa and Jackie. The really powerful thing here as well is that this list doesn't even have to be sorted in order, which is insane. So let me just show you this. Here's a random set of numbers. I'm just going to sort this by smallest to largest. So Jackie's now there, Lisa's over here, but this formula still works. Yeah, I can sort this again a different way, sort largest to smallest instead. It still works. That is so good. Well done. Well done, Excel team. That is brilliant. Right then, let's look at the next optional item, the bottom-up search. So with this one, if I do an XLOOKUP for the word avocado, and I search in this column, and I bring back the day, and press enter, I'll get Monday because it finds avocado, it searches from the top down, brings back Monday. But I could, if I wanted to, bring back the latest delivery date. So if I go and look up avocado in this little list here, comma, I want to bring back the day, comma, and then I say, if not found, I should put something in there, but I'll just skip it for now. Match mode, that's the approximate, not what I want to do here, comma. This is the last one, search first to last or last to first. So if I put a -1 in there, so it searches first to last by default, so don't worry about filling that in. But if you want to go last to first, bottom up, put a -1 there, enter, and Tuesday was the last day there was an avocado. Okay, and if I change this to banana, Monday was the first banana delivery and Wednesday was the last banana delivery. Bottom up search. Really powerful. Okay, there used to be crazy formulas to do bottom up searches. Now it's so simple. There are a couple of other options within that final search item. Okay, there's things called binary search. Just never worry about them unless you're some whiz expert with super performance as a key factor and performance isn't working for you. It may make a minuscule difference if you use one of those 2s or -2s. But the risk, this list has to be sorted. Just don't worry about it. Never use them would be my advice. On to the next item. Now there is another option, and I don't see many people needing this, but I'll show you anyway. It's something about wildcard match. It's one of the optional items. It's pretty niche case. Not many people are going to need this, okay, or care about it. But let me just show you what it is so it doesn't lead to confusion. There used to be a problem if you happen to have search characters in, say, something like your product codes. So let's say these are my genuine product codes, Apple 1, A asterisk 1, or B double question mark 1. You know, that's pretty unlikely, but apparently it does happen. So in the old VLOOKUP days, and I love the fact that I can now refer to them as the old VLOOKUP days, if you looked up A*1, okay, in this little list, and you brought back the second column with an exact match, false or 0, you don't get the result avocado, which is A*1. You get the result apple, because the VLOOKUP sees the star as a wildcard and then looks for anything that has A and then any letters or numbers and then the 1 at the end. So that's why it brings back apple. So it was actually potentially bringing back incorrect results. And I could copy that down, and B double star 1, B double question mark 1 wouldn't bring back blueberry. It would bring back banana, because banana has a B and then 2 items and then a 1. So with XLOOKUP, let's just do an XLOOKUP on here. So XLOOKUP that, comma, in this list, comma, bring back that list, enter. Okay, you do get the right result, the expected result. And if I copy this down to here, you will get blueberry. But what if you want it to be a wildcard search? Then you do have an option. So, comma, if not found, comma again, exact match larger, wildcard. Okay, so you put a 2 in there, and then you'll get the same result, potentially wrong result, that VLOOKUP used to give you. But if you do genuinely need a wildcard search, you have to put the 2 in there, whereas that was the default for VLOOKUP. Like I say, pretty niche. Right, let's get into some of the cool stuff you can now do with XLOOKUP. Multi-criteria lookups. Okay, check this out. We have Betty Brent. There's Betty Brent, but there's also a Betty Anderson and Alan Chadwick. So historically, you used to have to concatenate or join together these two items in order for them to be a lookup. You don't have to do that anymore. So equals XLOOKUP, this and, so ampersand, this. Where do I want to look? In this column and this column. Okay, and what do I want to bring back? Output 1, enter. There we go. Betty Brent 50. Awesome. This is about XLOOKUP being part of the new dynamic array version of Excel. It's now capable of doing these sorts of things because you can even now do multiple outputs. So let's just do this. Equals XLOOKUP. Okay, let's look up Brent. Okay, in this column, and we'll bring back these 3 results. Seriously, 3 results in one go. Press enter. 20, 200, 2000. 20, 200, 2000, because this is the first Brent. You can even bring back non-sequential outputs. So what I mean by that is you can do this. So equals XLOOKUP. Let's go Betty and Brent. Okay, put some spaces in there. Don't forget you can put spaces in your formulas. And this and this. Okay, and what do I want to bring back? Well, I want to use the choose function. Remember I showed you that earlier with a curly bracket 1, 2. Now I wouldn't recommend doing this, but you can, okay? Comma, let's bring back output 3, comma, output 1. Close the bracket on that. Close the bracket again. And now we have 5050. Yeah, so you can do it. It is possible to bring back different disconnected non-sequential columns using XLOOKUP. Now with XLOOKUP, you can even do more crazy stuff. Okay, XLOOKUP actually returns a cell reference, and then it will return the value from within that cell without you really knowing. But you can use that cell reference in some various scenarios. Here's one. Okay, would it be nice to have XLOOKUP return a result, and then you can click on that result and jump to it in the list? Well, you can. So let's see how this works. We are going to try and find the latest game in this table. Okay, so I'm a big rugby fan, so I've done a little rugby example. So Australia's last game, Saturday, 19th of October. So let's do an XLOOKUP to find that. Okay, so equals XLOOKUP. Pick on B5, comma, select everything in this column and bring back the when. And don't forget, we want the last result, so we want to do a bottom up search. So firstly, I'm just going to do put it in not found, just in case, and rather than any of those options, I just put a comma, and I want to go search last to first, so I can come to here and press tab, or just type in -1, enter. Okay, so the last game for Australia is the Saturday, the 19th of October. Okay. You can then take that formula, so let me just grab this formula here, and I'll put it in here, and I can wrap it in a cell. Okay, there's a function called cell. Who knew? All right, cell, and then address, comma, and then put a bracket on the end. So the address of that cell is L54. Okay, so there's the function again, cell address. You just put that at the start. And then because this is an extra function, you need an extra bracket on the end. I'm a big fan of putting a few spaces in there to make sure you can see those extra brackets. And I'm a fan of just putting some spaces in between some of these things. Makes it easier to read. Okay, so L54, let's check that out. Scroll down here. Okay, Australia there, that is cell L54. Here we have it at the top left. Excellent. Okay, we can then wrap this. Let's copy the whole formula and paste it into here. Okay, we could wrap this whole thing inside the hyperlink function. So I'm just going to move up this time. I'll put this in here. And just so it's easier to see, I'm going to start doing it in this formula bar. Okay. So here we go, equals hyperlink. So we're wrapping the whole thing in. And for hyperlink, you have to put the hash symbol. Okay. And then you join it together with a result. And with the hyperlink function, you can put a friendly name. So let's say link. Close the bracket. There it is. Here is a link, and if I click on it, I jump to it. Okay. F5, enter, jumps you back to where you came from. And I can get even crazier. I could say, right, well, I just want to actually return the XLOOKUP result. Okay, that whole result. I want to return that rather than the word link. Okay, press enter. So there it is, a clickable XLOOKUP result. F5 enter, jump back to where you came from. You could spend some time tidying it up by wrapping it in the new let function. Okay, so here we go. There it is. There's the let function. With XLOOKUP and this ability to bring back a cell reference, you can also do some just totally unusual things that you wouldn't expect. I first saw Bill Jelen doing this, and it's really cool. So let me give you a concept. We've got a column of dates or something like that, for example, and some tickets sold. And I want to sum up everything between the start and the end. Okay, so if I write a formula here, so I do an XLOOKUP, and I look for the word start in this column, and I bring back the tickets sold, and I press enter, 41 tickets. Okay, and if I go across, copy that across, and look for the word end, there's 89 tickets. So 41 and 89. But what if I want to add everything in between those? So everything between the start and the end. The grand total there, as I look down the bottom corner, is 440. Well, what you can do is this. Check this out. You can actually grab this XLOOKUP formula, okay, do a colon, and paste the other XLOOKUP formula after it. So this first part is getting me the start number, and the last part with this little colon in there, okay, that's getting the end. If I press enter, it spills down all the results because it's the same thing as me writing equals, and this cell is D9, to cell D16. Okay, XLOOKUP in the background actually returns those addresses. See how I get the same thing? An XLOOKUP can therefore find something and return a corresponding cell address, just like we've seen with hyperlink. So with this, I can then wrap the whole thing in a sum. Get where I'm going? Close the bracket, enter, and the grand total is 440. So if I move this start to somewhere else, let me just cut that and paste it here. It's now 360, which is the total for these. So I can see a whole bunch of uses for this potential. You know, there's definitely real benefit here. It's a great little trick. Thanks to Bill Jelen for picking that one out. Yeah, that's one to really think about. Okay, so now let's talk about double XLOOKUP. Awesome. It's the equivalent of doing a index match match. So let me just show you index match match first. Potentially, actually, it's a better result now using that approach than trying to use a double XLOOKUP. But let's just show you the technique. So equals. This is an index match match, but rather than match, we can now use XMatch. XMatch has all those nice little optional functions that XLOOKUP has, search from the bottom up, etc. But most importantly, you don't have to do the exact match. It defaults to an exact match, so it's the formula is shorter if you use XMatch. So equals index. I want to index this entire table, so I want to bring something back from a particular row and column of that table. I am going to look for, first of all, it says the row number. So XMatch, look up A1 in this column. That's the give me the row of the table to bring back, comma. Then I want to find a particular column, XMatch, and we click on the word age, comma, highlight the headings. See, that's where the word age is going to be. Close the brackets because you don't need a comma 0 for XMatch. It defaults to exact. And finally, close the bracket on the index. And there we have it, age 10. If I change this to last name, Atkinson is A1. If I change this to A3, Chadwick. And how do I get the salary? Well, let's just lock in by pressing F4, the reference to A3, and the salary is $3,000, or the age is 30. So Chadwick's age is 30. Excellent. Index, XMatch, XMatch. So if you've got a matrix and you want to find a particular row and column intersect, perfect. Okay. Now you can do it with XLOOKUP. So let's show you the technique for this. So equals XL, love the fact that it's a shortcut, press tab. What do I want to look up? Well, let's go for the headings first. So doesn't really matter which way around you do this. Heading, in this headers here. Okay, that's what I want to look up. What do I want to return? Everything from the table. Okay, all this data here. That's what I want to bring back from. Press enter. And with Dynamic Array Excel, you now get the entire column of results. Okay, so it's bringing me back the last name. So it's bringing me back all these items because I haven't said which row do I want. So I want to find which row to bring back. So here we go. We just prefix this with another XLOOKUP. So equals XLOOKUP. So I don't need a double equals XL. Okay, put some spaces in here. I want to find that ID in this column and bring back the result of this other table. So another little bracket on the end. And there we have it, Chadwick. And if I lock that in, I can now copy this across, and that's giving me the age. So my personal preference would be an index XMatch, XMatch, but you can do it with a double XLOOKUP. A more useful and probably common approach of using XLOOKUP will be to do stuff like dependent dropdowns. You know, it was really tricky to do it historically. There's a whole bunch of steps and named ranges and named cells and things that you had to do this. It's dead simple now. So let's take a look. I want to drop down for coffee, tea, and orange juice. Sorry, juice, and return a secondary drop down based on these columns. So the first drop down is simply going to be a list of those. So what I can say is data validation, allow a list from the source being these items here. Click OK. Okay, so there's my primary drop-down list, coffee. Right, my secondary drop-down list needs to now be based on coffee. So we can use XLOOKUP and filter and a couple of other dynamic array functions to really get this sorted. Okay, so equals XLOOKUP. So I want to look up coffee in this table and bring back the corresponding result. Enter. There we have all my coffees listed. Okay, so this is going to be my secondary drop-down list. But if I pick tea, notice I've got these zeros. And if I pick juice, I've got even more zeros. Now I don't want all those extra items showing up in my drop-down list. So we can actually clean this up using the filter function. So we can filter this array by going I8 hash. Okay, so that's the column reference. And we want to include where that doesn't equal 0. Okay, enter. So now what happens is that when I pick T, the zeros disappear. And if I pick juice, again, the zeros have gone. And you can even make this a little bit better by sorting the result. Okay, sort that result. Oops. Sort. And then it's sorted alphabetically. I can now refer to this as my secondary dropdown. So data, data validation, any value list. I can go here, click on that and put a hash there. That hash means it's going to refer to the dynamic array. Click OK. And now my juice has got orange. But if I change this to coffee, my secondary dropdown is now coffee options. Pretty cool. But what do you do if you haven't got XLOOKUP yet and you're not going to get it for quite a long time? So what if you're not on Office 365 and you just can't get anybody, you can't persuade them, beg them to upgrade? Look, there's a little trick I used to use for doing an easier index match. Right, I'll show you it. It's an autocorrect trick. Look, XLOOKUP just will never come to older versions, so you'll have to just use this little trick until you get XLOOKUP. Here's my trick. What I do is type I space, and it automatically creates my formula for me. And then I just double click on the lookup cell. I double click and highlight my lookup column, and I double click and I highlight the column to the left. Easy. Press enter. It's like the simple part of XLOOKUP. Okay, let me show you that again. I'll just do one over here. I space, double click, pick the thing you're looking for, double click, highlight the column you want to grab it from, double click, highlight the column you want to bring the result from. Enter. So how do I do this? Well, firstly, I need this little formula I've written manually. Okay, I'll leave it there to pause. You can pause the screen, type that into a cell somewhere. Okay, right, if you've unpaused, copy. Okay, Control C. Go to File, down to Options down the left-hand side, then to Proofing, and here's Autocorrect. And in this autocorrect window, you actually type I in here, and then in the with box, you just paste. And there it is. Click OK, click Add, all good. And now, whenever you need an index match formula that can bring back a column to the left or to the right, don't have to worry about counting columns. You just simply go to any cell, I, space, and autocorrect kicks in and converts it into that formula. I then simply use my mouse, double click the word grape, double click on the lookup column, here it is. And what do I want to return? This amount to the left. Press enter, hey presto. Finally, let's talk about ways of how we should write our XLOOKUPs going forward. Okay. One way would be this. Okay, I want to bring back color. So I can do equals XLOOKUP, this cell, comma, look in this column, comma, bring back the color, enter. Okay, and I've got 250,000 rows in this blue table. And you saw how long it took. Okay, imagine doing that over and over again with lots of different items. So let me just undo it. There's potentially a better way now. Okay, so let's look at a different way of doing this, because this little technique you cannot do inside a table. So you've got to come away from the side of the table to a cell over here. And if we reference the entire column, comma, then we look up our code and we bring back a result. And here we go, ready to press enter, 3, 2, 1, enter. Then the speed of how much faster it calculates, it's dramatic. And the file size is much smaller because this is one formula. There are no formulas in this little table here. Okay, you can't delete it. If you type something, you'll get a spill error. And as soon as you get rid of it, the formula will recalculate and spill down. That's how we should be writing our XLOOKUPs if we're doing big lists of them, okay? Now there's benefits of putting stuff inside tables, and I'm still going to do that for certain scenarios, but for these sorts of things, I think I'll start using it this way because I've seen much improved speed performance. Now, unfortunately, you cannot do an array of an array, so I am not able to spill this way and select 2 columns to output. Okay, it just doesn't work. I can't highlight and select this entire array and then also return 2 arrays. Hopefully that'll be something that gets added in the future. It just currently doesn't work, so you've got to do 1 column at a time. But room for improvement, but the big impact of this is just insane. So I'm a massive fan of XLOOKUP. I think it's going to make people's lives so much easier. Just the simplicity of equals XLOOKUP, pick a cell, comma, highlight a column, comma, highlight another column, press enter. Brilliant. Okay, absolutely brilliant. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you know the basics now and seen some more advanced techniques that you can potentially use XLOOKUP for. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like some more info, please check out xlookup.com.au. Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Access Analytic. Thanks again. Stay safe.